Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Day 1 at Boston is done and dusted, in some series that arguably took far longer than they should have done. Some good moments in these series intermingled with some disastrous technical problems that really plagued the day from start to finish. Lots of drama as a result. Is it time for this PC era of COD to come to an end? Do we need to get back to consoles? Loads of interesting storylines though in terms of the way the bracket is looking for the rest of the weekend. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks to all of you who, well, tuned into the watch party today. I didn't really make a big deal of it just because I knew that there was going to be some technical issues. Actually organising these and making it happen in person is like, there's so many things that could go wrong. Internet power, like actually getting the live feed itself in the stream. There were so many things that the team had to do a great job to figure out. And by the end of the day, we started to actually make it work. So tomorrow, for the rest of the weekend, tune into the Breaking Point. It's just on the Breaking Point channel. We were watch partying all day. We had loads of pros on there. It was actually a really good time. And, well, I think people are starting to realize that we're doing it, which is good fun. We've got to dive into the first series, though, because, look, we expected some of these series to be fast. I'm not going to lie. That's basically what we got. The thing is with FaZe and Ultra is that, I think I mentioned this, that coming into today, the only two teams that are like, there's no way they lose is FaZe and Ultra, because the level they're playing at is not, like, unbeatable exactly, but those are the two teams that you have to do an incredible job to beat those teams right now. They never really seem to slip up, apart from Toronto Online against Boston, but apart from that, it's just a masterclass, and I just don't think there was ever any doubts that FaZe were going to win this series. Sure, Gorillas aren't good enough to actually compete with them, but FaZe just were always going to win, right? There isn't really even that much to say, apart from the drama began already with the pause during Game 2. Now, this was, I forget exactly whose PC was causing problems here, but they had a technical delay during this map. They had to have a pause. Usually when they pause in Search and Destroy, it's possible to just stall the round and then go again later on. The actual pause feature doesn't exist ideally, but it actually has worked previously when you're at, let's say you're 2-2, I think it was 4-2 FaZe maybe, then pause the game and go again and continue at 4-2. But for whatever reason today, the pause feature was just not working, I guess. So every time there was a problem, they had to restart the match from scratch, which causes loads of issues on the broadcast as well. I always think it's a terrible look for the esports when someone might tune in for the first time and see, oh, it's 3-4 to this team, but then the graphic comes over and says, oh, sorry guys, no, it's actually 5-3 to the other team. Or so, you know what I mean? It's like you have the graphic that comes up to say, oh, sorry, the score you see isn't actually the score because the game kind of messed up. And it's never really a good look, right? It doesn't maybe send the best picture. So there was a pause. They had to start the game again. And actually, LA Gorillas, I think they took it to around 11, or like maybe this was to take, I think this was maybe to take it to the round 11. I'm pretty sure it was 5-4 at this point, 2 in the favour of Atlanta FaZe. And Cellium clutches a great 1 versus 2 here. Like, he gets the first kill. This is a great little stretch he makes. I still think Fame should probably play this differently because Fame is weak. Obviously, Cell's going to hop it. That's usually what happens here. Fame is 1 HP, so he can't shell. But as soon as he sees that Cell isn't on it here, like, when he is looking here, there's no way. This is what I don't understand about this, right? He checks the first time, sees that he can't see Cell on the bomb. Cell's obviously stretching the bomb. But what is Cell going to be doing here? He's either challing you or he's hopping the bomb. There's only 2 options. Because if Cell goes for the chal, then Fame would already be dead, or he'd be already in a gunfight. So if he's not, like, Cell isn't going to be laying down there, not on the bomb, you know what I mean? He's either going to have challed you while you're 1 HP, or he's going to have hopped it. So obviously he's hopped it, but Fame instead just, like, backs down, and I think if he just peeks left, he probably gets the kill, right? So yeah, we were kind of mind blown about that one, and that's all it takes for Cellium to get the 1v2 and win the game. At the end of the day, it didn't massively matter. The problem is, right, as Simp goes on to say, GG's LAG won 3-0, but can I get my cruise missile back? Because made me lose full, mid-search and destroy, my game just closed itself. So yeah, okay, it's Simp's issue, I guess, with the search and destroy here. But he had a cruise, the game just crashed, and all of a sudden you go again. I think it was scanner repair issues or whatever that the teams were really struggling with, like, all day. Drazah turned up, I mean, selling out at 1.8. I mean, what can you do? It's just, like, it's just an absolute masterclass and FaZe as usual. The control wasn't close, and, you know, we've got to move on. However, the real drama came during this series. Obviously, I was on the watch party here. Like, Ace came back as well, who is Lamar's cousin, so Accuracy's cousin. So he was obviously very much rooting for this series to go that way, and I really should have gone, not exactly with my guts, but I was talking to you guys that of all the series in the day that could have been, you know, competitive, I fancied this Rocker one against Subliners. I should have actually had the balls to pick them them in the predictions because I kind of wanted to, but I thought, nah, probably Subliners will win in 5 or something. But no, like, Rocker, they've definitely improved, there's no doubt. But also Subliners, the reason why I was feeling Rocker could do something here is because they've just been a bit shaky, you know what I mean? They haven't looked that good online, they've looked vulnerable, and I don't know, sometimes when things don't go their way, it feels like they don't quite have the mental fortitude of, some other teams, despite the great culture that they theoretically have. Now, Rocker, though, were the ones that needed to show some fortitude here, because they went up game 1, 180 to 80. I mean, this is absurd. I was actually talking to Accuracy about this after the fact, because I thought the rule is that once 2 teams are combined 250 points, there's no more replay, right? I thought at that point, the winner is determined and it's GG, because, sure, theoretically, they can come back and win this series and win this map. But, I mean, come on, like, 100-point lead, 180 to 80, and we're doing a full replay, start from scratch? Like, the replay rules need to be reconsidered. And Accuracy told me that is, I think, the rule online, but on LAN, that's not the rule for some reason. So, this was a full replay. And if that's the case, and that's the rule online, but on LAN, what if Rocker had 249 points here? What if it was 249 to 79? Is it a full replay? Like, apparently the rules say yes. So, that's outrageous. And Accuracy was saying that, like, so many times in his career, he has struggled in replay situations when the game crashes, and usually this happens, like, maybe once a weekend in a CDL season. The fact that this has happened, like, 5-6 times today, very rare, and a very bad look. Obviously, doesn't need to be said again. And it's honestly, like, watching it backstage, how all this stuff is set up, it's frankly kind of a miracle that anything works at all. But especially with all these PCs, I guess you're asking for trouble. But today was a severe problem. They're going to need to fix it going forwards. So Rock Rob 100, a full replay, and they still win the replay. But I honestly think they should have lost it. Like, the final rotation to P2, Subliners actually had it locked down. Rocker kind of bottled the rotation to that hill. And then Subliners, it looked for all the worlds they were going to come back and win this map. But I don't know who it was, overextended middle, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, from being 4 dead, Rocker broke out of the palace, got like 3 kills mid, broke the hill, and got in for the final 2 seconds they needed. So that was just absurd, right? Like, if Rocker had lost that in that manner, like, after losing the replay, after being up 100, and losing it in that manner, I don't know how they'd have regained mentally, but winning that one gave them, the belief that they could go on to win the series. And then, I mean, let's be honest, right? Subliners have looked good in Search and Destroy. The only map that Rocker have impressed me on in Search is Karachi. We've seen them do well on this map before. They've looked like terrible Rocker on every single map, but they're good at Karachi Search. So I'm a little bit surprised that Subliners allowed it in, because this, as far as I'm concerned, this is like Rocker's only good Search and Destroy map that they've shown for the last couple of weeks. They're probably good at other maps now because they've obviously worked hard, but why play them on this map too? Bit confusing. They take this one as well. Accuracy was going off, but more delays. The control was especially bad because, I mean, this was like the defining moment here when everything was coming to a close. And honestly, Rocket did incredibly well from a teamwork side to bring this one back. Like, Accuracy played out of his skin, Lin's had his moments. Vivid was really impactful. I know in Search and Destroy, I know in Control, because he's so aggressive. It can sometimes mean he loses too many lives. But an Awakening, like, he turned up big time today. It was great to see, actually, because Awakening's been struggling online. Like, he'll admit that himself. But there's certain players that on LAN, they should be better. I think Awakening is one of those guys. I wonder what GodRx would have done had he have got to LAN, right? But of course, they're only going to potentially play one series. And absolutely incredible stuff. So this looks like 1-1, but it's actually, I think, 2-2 at this point, or whatever it was, because like the replays had come through. It was an absolute mess. The big drama that I think they replayed it at 1-1, then it went to round 5, and then Rocker won the round 5 to 3-0 the Subliners and send the world champ straight to the losers bracket to play Ravens, actually. Actually, they play on the losers side. Now, I'll discuss this tweet here from Zoom in a second. I did want to address this here, though, from Skyz, because, as he says, GG's lost 3-0, had more ticks for defense, but they said just run it. Unlucky, I guess. And this is the problem with these replays. Again, if the game can't properly pause, that, Sky said they had more ticks during their offensive rounds, they should have got defense round 5. But because they did the replay, they didn't get defense round 5. That was actually, the Rocket guys got defense round 5, and they closed out and won it. So, and also there was like streaks that were going missing as well. Like, Sky said they had 2 cruise missiles that they should have had that were lost. Like, I'd be losing full, right? I mean, if I'm Rocker, I'm losing full after game 1. And, I guess from Rocker's perspective, they're like, well, what goes around comes around, right? Because Rocker were not blessed, anti-blessed when what happened after game 1. And then Subliners were blessed by getting the chance to win it. They didn't. and then Rocket got blessed with the replays later on, because they were about to lose the third round of the control. The replay happened, they got to play it again, and then they wanted to win the game for the round 5 there. So, you know, Rocket were blessed here for sure, but Subliners obviously should have just played better, right? And this was a bang out series. Like, this wasn't, you know, this was really close, down to the wire. Great fun to watch this one, and sure, it was a 3-0. It was a very long 3-0, as of course you guys can tell. The next series, though, was an absolute bloodbath, and I will say that Ace mentioned on the show, we've talked over the last few days, that Surge were potentially going to get blacklisted for breaking the GAs. Ace said that's happened, so like, sure, it's only a couple of days of practice until the major, but rumour has it that, yeah, Surge, they're basically blacklisted from scrims now, and they will not be practicing against pro teams up until the major, and also post-major it probably continues. And I think we could probably see it, let's be honest, because they got slammed. Now again, map 1 began, Ultra up a little bit, then the refresh happened, again, another one, so they replayed the map. This wasn't as bad, but it's still bad, right? And I think it was at like one PC that was doing it, then they swapped out the PC that was still having issues. I don't know, they're gonna have to fix it, of course, for tomorrow. But CleanX game 1 was just everything, and it's tough to even know what to say about this series. Surge, they started well this season, but they've clearly regressed, and Toronto are just, like, it's so hard to beat these guys. All their players are so good. CleanX might just be the best player in the game right now. I think there's a very good case to argue, because we've said before, CleanX can have a 0.95 and be the most impactful player in the server. When CleanX is a 4.0, I mean, you know, good luck winning anything, because that's what he had game 1. He had a 4.2 KD, breaking the record by far, and then game 2 he went like 10-2, 9-2, 10-3, I don't know, something like that anyway, and ended up 35-9 over the first 2 maps. Now the final map of the series wasn't so pretty, but again it was a very clear-cut result, and RCTs had a 0.56, CleanX had like a, I mean, we'll have a look here, CleanX had a 1.7. So Surge absolutely giga-slammed down to the losers bracket here. That would have been a hard one to take. How do you bounce back from that? I mean, how do you bounce back from map 1? You don't. They couldn't bounce back map 2 either. They got smoked in the control, and I think there was even a refresh in that as well. I don't even know anymore. It was a I think, yeah, there was a refresh in that, wasn't there? They went 2-0, and then they had to close out the final rounds. It was an absolute disaster today, really, but it didn't affect Surge, and it didn't affect Ultra, because they came through, and that Ultra phase is still looking juicy if it eventually happens. And the final series then, what ended up being an absolutely rapid-fire 3-0 fest day. Like, I thought we were going to get some 3-0s today, but the fact that all of them were going to be 3-0s, like, I thought we'd have I thought this series especially, my prediction was OpTic in game 5. I thought they'd play better than they did online. I still think Miami played pretty solid in this series, but I've got to say, when Heretics, back in Black Ops 4, they looked good online at the start of that game, but they just couldn't translate that when they turned up to LAN, and, you know, it was interesting to see how that was going to transpire in this series. Clearly, OpTic should be a better team in that type of environment. The fact that they lost a few days ago helps them anyway, because they get to look at that series, they get to review it. They also challenged differently on map 1. They decided to go, again, Skid Row bad side, game 1 here. They decided, you know what, we're not going to do Invasion Hardpoint like we lost to Heretics the other day. We're going to challenge a bad side Skid Row. And the very first P2, they broke it. And I think that was like the key point in the series, because they actually lost the rotation to P2 on the very first rotation badly. Like, they could have been in a spot here, OpTic, like they were against Vegas, where they got smoked on the Skid Row and then all of a sudden you've lost full. But no, they broke the P2. They only got like 10 seconds from it, because actually Heretics got a good spawn and broke right back. But that confidence boost, I think, was enough for these guys to then, you know, walk into the rest of the map. Now, it wasn't like it was easy sailing. Like, Miami played well, but there were some big moments here for OpTic down the stretch that got them over the line, and OpTic were definitely the better team, I think, in this game 1. Dashy had a streak which was massively influential towards the end as well. They got the break, OpTic got the job done. We know they're confident on Skid Row. I still think against the better teams, the fact that they don't want to play sub-base is going to be a bit of a concern. They do have a limited map pool compared to some of their other theoretically top competition, but there was talk the other day, Miami, are they a top 4 team now, OpTic a top 5 or whatever, but yeah, OpTic obviously proved that on LAN it's a different story, and we've seen it so many times, especially in the last few years, that, I mean, this was a ridiculous skill, by the way, that Kenny's teams just get better on LAN. It's basically always been a thing that the teams that he's been on are generally better on LAN than online. It's certainly the case with Thieves over the last couple of years, and that's why OpTic, they haven't been concerned, right? I mean, look, Kenny's laughing here. You know, it's over when Kenny starts to laugh, because they played online the other day, and OpTic said, look, that was online. It's a different story when we get to LAN, and I think in some regards that's a bit of a concerning way to think, because if you start to lose on LAN, then you're thinking, okay, maybe we're actually bad, but it does give you some good confidence. If you can, you know, brush off in your mind, okay, that was online, it's going to be different when we turn up to LAN, plan and then actually do deliver on that, then it gives you your confidence is back that you're actually a good team, which OpTic clearly are. I mean, obviously they have the talent, they had a very poor weekends, but they come in here and just smoke Miami. Like, they won the Search and Destroy comfortably. They probably should have won it more comfortably, really. They had a couple of first bloods that they didn't make the most of, and then they dominate the control. So this series was over again, basically in a heartbeat. I thought this is hilarious as well, that Pred stands up and does like the 3-0 sign on the eye. You can see him do it here. You know, Vikul did that the other day when they threw them online, and then Pred's like, right, yeah, here we go. On lad, it's a very different story. I think you can see it, him throwing it up here potentially. Maybe he does it slightly later on. I think he does it when Vikul comes over, actually. I have a brief screenshot of it right here, actually, where you can see Vikul coming in and he's throwing up the 3-0 sign. So very entertaining stuff. But yeah, that was the day one. So OpTic will go on to play FaZe. That is a guaranteed match in the second round on Saturday. I'm buzzing for that one because if OpTic play like this, that could be a very interesting series. Shotzzy at a 1.5. He was the standard MVP for me. And yeah, on the other side, MettalZ and Vikul held their own, but those other guys, JurNii and Lucky, had a rough series. And that's kind of what I expect. I'm not going to lie here for LAN for Heretics. So I thought that it was going to be a closer fight. I didn't think OpTic were going to come in and hit the 3-0, but that's exactly what happened. So a quick day one, but a couple of things to share for you guys. This is the high quality version of that OpTic Pred image, which is absolutely sensational. And even Dashy tweeted out the other version of it right just the other day. So you've got to love the contrast you're having. You really can't beat this type of stuff. It's just so poetic, right, that they 3-0'd them back. And just, like, if you guys are OpTic fans and you want some major hopium this weekend, have a look at this. The last two times OpTic have won 3-0 to start out the first LAN of a year was Major 1 2022 and was Vegas 2019. They went on to win both of those tournaments. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I will see you next time.